Hello, everyone. Go ahead and hit that like button on your way in. Hit that like button. All right. Hit that like button. Let me know you're here. Hey, Daphne. Welcome, sweetheart. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited about today's topic. So, we are studying the emotional, mental, and social anatomy of an incel, right? For those of you who don't know, incel means involuntarily celibate. Okay, so let me just say, first of all, I am not here to debate. I will not be sharing references because this is information that can be generally tapped into if a person is willing to go seek the information. I myself do study things before I present them. I get an idea. I go through lived experience. I go through anecdotal evidence from other people, as well as studies, as well as general consensus and ideas around psychology, sociology, and human consciousness. Okay. And I'm also in school for consciousness and human potential. So it's not something that I just wake up and give my opinion on if I come share things. Now, if I'm asked my opinion, I will give it if I want to, if I feel like it's relevant. But in this case, let me just say, this is not anything opinion based. What this is based on is the fact that I have two adult sons in their 30s. I have exes, I have friends, male friends, and family members who, have all struggled in some way with the ideas of masculinity. And specifically, I do see people who are, they're lonely, they're confused, and they're hurting because of this incel type of situation that they're in. And if they're not, then they don't know how to counsel or give information to their male connections who may be battling with incel situation, okay, with an incel situation. So this is indeed a compassionate exploration, okay? So I want you guys to give a thumbs up. Let me just say that I will not be doing any blaming or shaming in this video. However, I will give a trigger warning. If you are not someone who can just sit and learn and try to connect with information from a place of growth and understanding, if you have issues with incel type things, hey, Pharaoh, welcome back and thank you for the gifts. It's so good to see you here. But if you are, a male or female, because there is some internalized misogyny within women, and so if you have problems with this kind of thing, then it could be a trigger for you, okay? But my idea is to provide a space for compassion, reflection, growth, not ridicule. All right, hit that like button on your way in. You're having a sun-filled day. Wonderful, wonderful. Hit that like button on your way in if you haven't already, okay? And subscribe as well. So that is my disclaimer. I'm not here to, also, let me just say this, I'm not here to debate, and I definitely will not argue. If you come into the chat disrespectful or rude, or trying to attack my appearance or anything like that, I am not a person who gets offended because I don't care about other people's opinions of me. So those will be ignored. However, if I feel like your comments may be offensive to people in my chat who are watching, then I will delete and block you. Okay? So I won't argue with you. I appreciate, if you come in the comments in the chat and you have, thoughtful commentary along the way. Let me just say, I do have a lot to cover. So if I'm not engaging with you in the chat, it is not me ignoring you. It is the simple fact that I have a lesson to get through, and I will take questions at the end. Okay, go ahead and hit that like button on your way in. Hit that like button. So again, let's go ahead and get into our topic. The mental, emotional, and social anatomy of an incel. This is a compassionate exploration, and I will be consulting my notes throughout this. Let's look at the mental anatomy first, okay? Let's look at the mental anatomy first. Lemon water. All right. So the first thing I think a lot of men who struggle with the incel situation, right, is identity. I won't say I think. This is, okay, things that I have researched and studied. Okay, so identity confusion is one underlying aspect, all right? So men often don't know what a good man even means anymore, because the definitions and social situations and dynamics have changed very much in recent years. So they absorb contradictory messages like be confident on this hand or be arrogant on the other hand. Hey, real Hema. Or they'll say be strong on this hand or be vulnerable on this one, or be a provider, or women don't need providers, right? So there's overthinking, which leads to paralysis, which leads to self-doubt. Okay. So identity confusion, right? It's like, who am I as a man? What is a man even anymore, these days? So they begin to doubt themselves, right? So this throws them into what's called cognitive loops, all right? So common patterns seen in incel forums and podcasts. Hey, Sekma. And this is not me attacking these podcasts. Look, everybody got $1 to make, right? But here's some common themes that you see within them, which creates cognitive loops, is catastrophizing, right? So women only want X. You can define the X. Whatever you hear all the time, they say women only want this, okay? Another thing is black and white thinking. If I'm not attractive to all women, I'm attractive to none, right? So it's the idea that it's noon Central Time here, real Hema. The idea is that if all women don't want me, then no women don't want me, right? So which is, that's so far out of the realm of the truth, okay? External blame, right? So you'll hear there's this kind of shield of external blame. It's women's fault, it's society's fault, it's the man's fault, it's my parents' fault, it's my mama's fault, it's always somebody else's fault. And so it provides a shield from painful introspection, because if you really want a better life, no matter who you are, then you have to introspect. You have to go inside and you have to think deeper about yourself and your life and where things might be going wrong, and focus on what might be going right as well. Okay. And then another thing that causes these cognitive loops that come from these forums and podcasts are reinforced by these hopeless worldview. The hopeless worldview is reinforced by echo chambers, right? Everybody's saying the same thing, either in their rhetoric, in their presentation, or you'll see in the comments and in the chats on these things that, these men are supporting and echoing what's being said, things that they've read, I mean, things that they've heard in these situations. That is so true, Pharaoh. That is a fundamental truth in life. Okay, so they're just regurgitating information and picking one or two lines out of a study or an article instead of taking a cohesive and comprehensive look at all the data that's out there, right? And then also not applying things to their own personal experience, except maybe one or two. Maybe this woman rejected them at a grocery store, or maybe they had a bad breakup, and that frames their entire life. So yeah, so a man gets rejected once, he goes to the forums and the forums tells him that it was her fault. She did it. Okay. You guys, please fire up the comments for me. Let's see if we can get this out. So that is the mental anatomy, right, of the incel talk and the bubble that it comes from within a lot of the forums and everything. And then the social constructs that create identity confusion. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we're going to focus on is the emotional anatomy, right? That was the mental anatomy. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed, thank you, Pharaoh. I appreciate you, love. The biggest thing one of the top things that we really, really want to pay attention to when it comes to this is shame. Okay. And shame is not, I feel bad. Shame is, I am bad, right? So this is an emotion that's linked to incel identity, because when you hear over and over and over again, right? And people don't really get this. They don't really understand this. But when you hear over and over again that something is bad, right? Like women are bad, or the system is bad, or this is bad. Okay, so women are bad, right? But you want women. Okay, so what does that make you? Bad, right? If women are bad and you want women, then you will internally and subconsciously identify as bad. And so there starts to be this level of shame, but it's masked by the anger and the sadness and the loneliness. Okay. So, and then there is rejection trauma. All right. So repeated rejection or humiliating experiences, right? Repeated rejection or humiliating experiences create these dynamics: withdrawal, resentment, fear of vulnerability, emotional numbness. Okay. So, and it may not be repeated rejection. Sometimes it's one bad breakup, right? And it creates withdrawal, resentment, fear of vulnerability, emotional numbness, and frustration. That's a good one. That's really a good one. So thank you for that input. But yes, it's as if, we don't understand that shame and rejection are just, rejection is a part of life. Shame is something that's learned. Okay. It's where we take on external ideas and we take them on as our personal identity. Okay. And so we lose sight of who we are deep down, or we've never even had the opportunity to learn it or taken the opportunity to learn it. Okay. When reality, the core desire is connection. Underneath all the anger, the shame, is I want to matter. I want someone to choose me. I want to feel like a man. Okay. So anger is often a mask for longing, right? Loneliness is a root of I want to matter. I want someone to choose me, and I want to feel like a man. Okay. Loneliness is a very human dynamic, right? It happens to the best and the worst of us. Okay. But that's just because we all have that sense of humanity that wants to connect with another. Okay. So, a real life example. Okay. This is a real life example. This is something I experienced just within the last couple of weeks, right? So I am on one dating site, And I got on this dating site for two reasons. The first reason, my niece was on there and she and I were hanging out. She's like 21. And she and I were hanging out and she was like, Auntie, you should create a profile. And I was like, yeah, but I don't have problems meeting men in real life. Like, I'm very, yeah, Daphne. I don't have problems meeting men in real life, so I don't know why I would need a dating app. And she was like, it's just fun, it's just a way to connect with people. And then, like, my brain being what it is and my mind doing what it does, I thought, well, this could be very good experimentally to see what is really out there, because I hear so much, or I used to. I don't really listen or go down that road anymore. I just do me now. But there were a lot of things that I would hear from these podcasts and social media and all this kind of stuff, or see concerning, all this male anger and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, this could be a good social experiment type of situation, especially since I'm in school for consciousness and human potential. This may be something that I could apply to some of my studies, right? So I matched this guy who's in his 50s. I'm 54. I think he was probably 56, 56 or 58, somewhere around in there, right? And in his bio, he had that, if you're not great at conversation, then don't, text me or whatever. And I was like, well, I normally will not accept a match for people who are like that, right? Because it's like, you have to understand that people have a life, and some of us are not just on these apps, right? I personally don't have a lot of notifications on any app, but especially on a dating app, because I have a life, right? So I may not respond right away. I'm going to go check it when I get time, and I'm going to respond. And if I feel like, that we're having a decent conversation, then I'll just go ahead and text you my number, because I can always block you later. And if that don't work, if you turn out to be a creep or a stalker, I'll just put the blicky on you, right? So anyway, I go ahead and accept his match, and we're going through the thing, but his conversation was very dry. And so I'm noticing that I'm having to carry the conversation. So I'm like, okay, maybe, he's got stuff going on, which is cool. And then he did explain to me why he was slow to respond. So I was like, cool. So I just gave him my number. That way he can text me, and it'll be more seamless to communicate, even though I may not text right back. I'll text back faster than through the app, right? So we're texting back and forth through texting. And he explains to me, which was something that I found intriguing, because he used to be a college professor, but now he teaches middle school and he's a counselor, which I thought, cool, this could be somebody I could vibe with on an intellectual level, which is what draws me in more than anything else, right? So we're kind of conversating back and forth. And so I just got curious. I was like, what was it that made you get on the dating app? And he said, just one word, lonely. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because some people are, they're lonely, and they're looking for someone. And so I did appreciate the honesty. It didn't turn me off that he was lonely, right? So I asked him how that came about, and he said he had divorced his wife in January, and that now he's lonely, right? So I was like, okay. So I said, what do you do for fun? 1 second, you guys. I said, what do you do for fun? And he says, 2 words, y'all. Lay down. In my little mind over here, lay down. Like, what that mean? Lay down. Like, when you just go to bed and just lay down all the time? Like, which I have nothing against resting, because I am in my soft girl era right now. I get my rest, okay? but it's like for fun, I lay down and I relax for fun. I will, recline. So I was trying to get his idea of what lay down means, right? So I asked him, I was like, well, why are you trying to date if you want to lay down? Right? And so he says, because I want someone to cuddle with. Okay, so as a woman, that's as a woman that's kind of confusing, right? Because your bio is saying you want a real relationship and stuff like this. And most women, we have ebbs and flows. We're the feminine, so we kind of flow. And just some women are homebodies, right? They're complete homebodies. They never go anywhere but maybe work or home, or if they have to go to the grocery store or something like that. But the majority of women, even if they like to be at home, they like to do other things as well, right? They're not leaving home for an escape from their reality. They're leaving home because they enjoy doing other things. Okay. I happen to be one of those women. Okay. And so I'm trying to imagine what a life with him would be. And I said, so you only lay down? When do you do things? Because I like to get out and do things. I'd like to have a balance, right? I don't mind being at home, but I'm not going to be at home all the time. And if I am at home, I'm not going to be laying down. So, I'm trying to explain to him what my reality is and trying to understand what his reality would look like. And he said, I do stuff on the weekends. And so now I'm thinking, so all week we're going to lay down and we might find something to do on the weekends if he has time or feels like it or wants to. Because that's really what it's going to boil down to, right? And I thought, do I want that to be my reality? No. But what that helped me to understand when I started really thinking on it and then went and started doing more research to connect the dots on this, right, is that I came to understand just based on not just the research, but going through a lot of these profiles that I'm reading, some of them are not really looking for partners, right? They're looking for comfort. So he's not looking for connection. He's not looking for really a shared life. He's not looking for exploration or growth. He's just looking for relief from his pain and loneliness, which is not a partnership, right? It's just him needing a warm body to lay next to so that he's not lonely. That's not a partnership, okay? And this isn't judgment. I totally understand if that's what you need, but you need to change your profile to say that you're not really looking for a long-term relationship, right? That's really not what you want. You don't want an actual relationship or a life partner, okay? You want a companion, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with just wanting a companion. And those are sometimes easier to find in today's climate than you would have had 10, 20, 30 years ago, because women now are actually really liking being single and just having a steady companion in their lives, right? So it's just an emotional reality for a lot of men right now. There's work exhaustion, right? Because he has, I think, maybe three things that he does. He does counseling, he does teaching, and then he also does coaching, right, to the kids. So he has a very full life, which I can understand why he would be exhausted and tired, right? Lack of hobbies. So whatever comes up on the weekends, he may or may not do just based on that exhaustion, right? Social isolation. So even though he's at work and he's doing all these things, It's all related to what he has to do, not necessarily what he wants to do. And seeing as though he went through a divorce just in January, it's most likely that he had been emotionally shut down for a while before that divorce occurred, right? And had to emotionally shut down throughout the divorce and as a result of the divorce, right? So the idea is if I could just find a woman to hold me, I'd feel okay. Okay. So the only issue with that is that women are not emotional rest stops. Okay. Like most women want a partner with energy, curiosity, vitality, and a desire to explore life, which is what I was saying earlier. Most women want that. They don't want someone who they have to be an emotional recliner for. Okay. Um, and it's not that he's bad, and it's not that the woman is picky. It's just a mismatch of needs and life force, right? There's a mismatch in what he needs and the life force that she brings or wants to connect with, right? So men in this state don't need a girlfriend. They just don't. Okay. If you're lonely, you don't really need a girlfriend. Okay. What you need is rest, especially if like you're just like him, just works a lot and exhausted. You need rest. So laying down is very good, right? You need healing, right? So he's a counselor. He knows resources, right? You need community. So connect more with the people that you engage with in the things that you do in life, or seek out things, personal interests, right? You need those things. And you need to return to self. Focus in on why you're lonely. What is it that makes you tick other than just a wanting a warm body around? And women have the right to recognize I'm not signing up to be someone's cuddle therapist. Okay. I want partnership, not emotional caretaking. So I think when we hear a lot, I want a woman to be my peace. A lot of women, that's a red flag. They run because that means I have to be your emotional caretaker, your emotional regulator. I can't really speak my mind if something is bothering me, all these kind of things. So no. And here's another real world example. Okay. I was scrolling, I think it was on YouTube, and no, I wasn't. I was doing some research for my psychology class, and we had to go to some YouTube videos to, watch some stuff. And this video popped up about this young black man who was in his 20s, and he hired a cuddle therapist because he was starving for human touch. And he had been seeing this cuddle therapist for a while, and he decided to start documenting that, right? And so he has someone to film, him inviting her in. They go in, they get in his bed, and she asks, do you want to be big spoon or little spoon right now? Because they can switch it up. But to start with, do you want to be big spoon or little spoon? He wanted to be little spoon. I thought it was adorable. Okay. This was a white female, probably in her 30s, I think. But so they climb in his bed, she gets behind him, and she just holds him, and they start to talk, right? She's asking him she's been giving him tips on how to attract women, how has his wardrobe changed and all that kind of stuff has been, the tips that she's been giving him. And so they're discussing that, right? And the idea for cuddle therapy is it's completely platonic and consensual holding, but nothing beyond holding or cuddling, right? And I'm reading and so I'm like, this is so amazing, right? I thought it was mature of him. I thought it was emotionally intelligent of him. I thought it was courageous of him, not only to do it, but especially to record it. Like, I thought the world of this young man's idea, right? And so I'm going to go to the comments because, I'm a thinker. So I want to see what's the buzz. And the poor young man was getting reamed, not by women. The women were loving this idea. He was getting torn to shreds by the men in the comments. They were calling him loser. They were calling him lame. They were saying, why isn't he trying to clap those cheeks? Like everything was either about him should be trying to have sex with her, having to pay for someone to hold him, or the fact that he was the loser and needed tips on Riz, the fact that all these things. And I'm thinking, why would they not see that this is a valuable and viable option for loneliness, right? I mean, the thing is, it just blew my mind. And so it's having a longing for closeness without the emotional mobility required for partnership is mind-blowing to me, right? You don't have the emotional mobility for partnership, but you want a woman to want to be close with you. It's can you guys see the disconnect there? The understanding that opens doors to compassion without self-sacrifice. You want someone to open the doors for compassion without self-sacrifice. You're not willing to be vulnerable. So if you can't even admit that I just want somebody to be close to me without giving myself to her, if you can't admit that to her, then you're being unrighteous for one thing, but you're doing yourself a grave disservice. Okay. So, and this leads me to the social anatomy, right? Because this is a social thing where you have these men in the comments who are badgering. When I say I felt so sorry for this young man. But, and on top of that, he was very emotionally intelligent and aware enough not to argue with them in the comments and not to stop posting his comment. They were actually making him rich by calling him lame. They really were, because they were blowing up his social media, right? Okay, so let's go into the social anatomy, right? And the first thing is isolation. Most incel identified men report few friendships, no mentors, lack of supportive male peers, and limited positive female interactions. The female interactions that are positive are going to be limited when a person struggles with the things that we've talked about so far, all right? But especially if you have no friendships and no viable mentors. Red Pill is not a viable mentor. All of these forums and podcasts that tell you how terrible women are and that it's not your fault that women don't want you and they only want the guy who's 6'2" and, has money and all that, because there are plenty of men out here who are 5'7", making $30,000 a year and has a woman who loves the heck out of them. Okay. So, the lack of male support among each other, like what I was saying about this, this poor young man, it's really sad and scary. So your female interactions and your positive female interactions are just going to be limited anyway, because most women are naturally intuitive, right? And we can sense when something is off a lot of times. And so how you present yourself matters. Yes, we do want you to be clean. I'll go into all this kind of stuff. But if your energy reads a deep inner anger, right, or a lack of self-knowing, we can probably pick up on that. Okay. So a lot of these digital echo chambers, right, they create they create or they intensify hopelessness, resentment, unhealthy generalizations, myths about women and fatalistic thinking, right? It's end of the world if I don't have a woman by the time I'm 30, or I don't have six figures, and I'm never going to be 6 feet. Then, it's the end of the world for me when it comes to having the kind of woman that I want. All right. And then there's the dating economy shift. Online dating reshaped expectations. Okay. And women have more agency in life, period. Women can make better, more informed choices and decisions about who they want because their well-being is not tied to a man's whatever. Okay. They have more agency over themselves and their own well-being. So, that has changed the shift in how men and women relate. Okay. And then online dating reshaped expectations. So men have seemingly more access to women, but the greater possibility of being rejected, right? So you've got thousands and thousands of women on this site, and you swipe on 100 of them in a month's time. And by the end of the month, none of these women have chosen you in any way whatsoever. It can mess with you, okay? So men feel also these days unsure of how to navigate consent, communication, and vulnerability, right? So I'm going to go into this a little bit more. So many are feeling outdated or left behind, okay? So navigating consent, communication, and vulnerability are very big deals as well. Let's talk about how to handle rejection, okay? So this section will give tangible transformation skills. If you have trouble handling rejection, and even if you don't, some of this stuff can cross-apply. You can extrapolate it to different parts of life, okay? So, rejection is data. It is not your identity, okay? So analogy, not every job wants every applicant. It doesn't mean you're unemployable. It's just not the job for you, okay? Or they just don't feel like you're a suitable match for the job. Doesn't mean that you're unemployable, that no job ever anywhere will ever want you, right? That's that fatalistic thinking. Emotional regulation skills. These are 3 steps that you can use to emotionally regulate yourself if you are rejected, right? The idea is not to go calling her a bitch or a lesbian or something like that because she rejects you, and it's not to take it personally, okay? Pause, just stop for a second, breathe, okay? And name the emotion. How do you feel really? Are you disappointed? Are you sad? Are you embarrassed? When you can name your feelings, you can decrease the shame around what you're feeling. Okay? When you put a name to a feeling, sad, disappointed, embarrassed, then you can decrease the shame because you connect to the feeling more than to the action of the rejection. And then you can say to yourself, okay, I feel this way because I was rejected, but it's not her fault. Okay. She didn't approach me and say, I want to connect with you. I approached her, and it's her right. And she's entitled to say no to me. She doesn't know me from Adam, or she may know me, and she may have decided that I don't fit into her world. Sometimes women are, you just catch them at a bad time, right? They're probably on their period. They got kids at home. Work was a hard day, or they're just chilling. They don't really want a relationship. They don't want to deal. They're not people oriented at the moment. They don't want nobody. They don't want friends, family, boyfriend, nobody. Okay. So you can't take that personally. Sometimes they do have a boyfriend or a husband. So not all women are using this to reject you. Okay? Most of them, if they say they have a boyfriend or husband, they actually do, which is why you approach them, because somebody wanted them. Okay? Just like you wanted them, another man did too. Okay? He just got there before you. Okay? And she liked him. Other reasons women reject men is because, again, their intuition tells them there's something not right there. Okay? That's not to say you're a bad person or something like, but if she doesn't feel safe with you internally, then it's a no. Okay? That's not to say you're going to hurt her, but she don't know that. She doesn't know you. Okay? Other reasons women reject men is because they're not into men. They're just not. They like women, or they're asexual. They don't like nobody. Okay? They don't want to enter into a relationship with anyone, or they like women or other, genders instead. Okay? Instead of men. Other reasons are she might just be going through a hard time. She might be grieving the loss of a family member. She might have, burdens on her, like with kids or, like I mentioned, work, that are just not leaving her emotionally and mentally open to socialize, meaning to allow a man into her space. Okay? And then sometimes she's just not healed enough. She may just have gotten out of something that broke her. She may have just gotten over something that broke her, and she's just chilling. She's just resting. Okay, so there are all kinds of reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with the man. Nothing. Oh, it's because I'm short. Oh, it's because I'm broke. Oh, it's no. Okay, no. Lots of short guys have women. Lots of broke men have women. There are homeless men that have a woman. There are men with no teeth in their mouth that have a woman. There are men with criminal records that have a woman. Okay? So you can't, and then to judge a woman by who she chooses, that's a mental flaw. Okay? That's a mental flaw, because to judge anyone by who they choose is a mental flaw, right? So let's just say, and I mentioned this in one of my lives before, let's just say you're a man who likes the fake booty, the fake hair, the lashes, the poppy attitude, right? And, she just out there, she doing her thing. You like that kind of girl. You like the stripper kind. You like the out there girls. You'll slide in their DMs all day long. But you would never approach this kind of woman in public, even though she's your type. You wouldn't, and if you approached her and you're rejected by her, then you're going to start calling her all kind of 304s and stuff, right? But she's your type. Why won't you just go get your type? One of those types out there will like you. But instead, you get online bashing them, but you slide in their DMs. Or your homies come around and you're like, no, I don't like that. She done been around. She probably hasn't. Most likely she's not, because she's too busy out here minding her business, trying to figure out how she gonna pay for her wigs and her lashes. Okay? She's not sleeping around. But because of how she presents herself, a lot of people want to believe that she is, right? And so she's judged for this, but you have to rise above other people's opinions and go get what you like so you can just be happy. If you like that kind of girl, go get that kind of girl and be happy, yo. What's his name? T-Pain told you he was in love with a stripper. He put it on the whole song. It made millions of dollars. And he wasn't lying to y'all. Okay? So it's like, just go get what you want. Okay? Let's move on. These are some things to ask if you do approach a woman, right? And you get rejected. Did I approach respectfully? Your approach matters. A woman has to feel safe with you. She has to feel like you care about yourself, okay? Because how you present yourself, right? Did I present my real self first of all, but how you present yourself matters, right? Because most women are clean, and they take a little bit of pride in how they look when they go out. They may not be all the fancy kind, but they're going to make sure their hair is combed or whatever. And even the ones who go out with their bonnets on. Hey, Laocan, I've been out of the house with my bonnets and pajamas on. You know why? Because I was in a deep depression and I was grieving, but I needed food. So I had to choose one. Either get up and get yourself together and then be too exhausted and emotionally drained to go get food, or just take the little bit of energy you have to go get food, i.e. grocery store or, a dollar store or whatever, and then just go back home and make sure that you're eating, at least nourishing yourself, even if you're not caring for your outer appearance. You never know what a person's reasoning is for this stuff, okay? So, and was she simply not interested? And if she isn't, that's fine. She may just not be interested. She may not even know why. You just didn't click the bell that day, yo. You just didn't, okay? So just ask yourself, did I approach her respectfully? Did I present my real self? Because a lot of times women know when you ain't real, when you're just trying to gas up her head, or you're only want one thing from her. A lot of them can pick that up, okay? So reflecting on yourself, it empowers you. But if you just ruminate and just play the rejection over and over in your head, it destroys your confidence. Okay? So if you can just take the moment and reflect, then you're like, okay, I'll just pivot next time, or it was just the wrong girl. Okay? Let's talk about something. Let me circle back to the dating profile. All right? Let's talk about how to develop a likable dating profile if you're a guy, right? And you're seeking women, okay? You need photos that work. Photos, just like for you guys, are a big deal to women as well, all right? Try your because you can put up some sites, I guess, you can put multiple shots, but your first shot, the very first thing a woman sees, need to be your face, clear face with natural light. So stand outside in the sun, stand next to a window, right? On a nice day, and just take a nice selfie face on, with a little bit of a smile, a genuine smile, not a fake smile. You ain't got to be, because I know a lot of guys don't like to smile in photos. But trust me, as a woman on a dating site, the guys who smile in their photos catch my attention quicker than the ones who on there looking angry or dry. Because it looks like you have no personality, or you're going to beat my face, okay? And not with makeup, not with, you know what I mean? So make sure, think of something funny in your head, right? And just a natural smile click, all right? Then when you're on an outing, doing a normal activity that makes you happy, right? Get someone to click a photo of you. Make sure it's not too staged, too fake, but you're just, enjoying yourself. Get someone to take a photo, all right? One photo doing an activity. These are the photos you want to avoid. I quickly swipe off these photos, okay? I know hundreds of women who do the same. We don't want it, all right? Blurry images. It looks like you didn't care. If you post a photo with a blurry image, it looks like you were just throwing something up there, meaning you don't really care about connecting. Okay? Group photos. I don't want to figure out which one you are. Who are you in this photo? Even if it's a picture with you and a celebrity, to me, that means you're clout chasing. I want to know you. I don't want to know that you know so and so. Doesn't matter. Okay? So group photos are a no-go. Posting pictures with your Glock, your AK, your whatever, that's a no. We don't care. We don't care that you know how to handle a firearm. We don't care that you got one. We want to know, can you defend me with this? And possibly, if necessary, can you defend me with these? And we want to know that you're not so out here blatant with that. That's irresponsible to be showing pictures with your weapon. It's irresponsible, right? That's not how you see it, but that's how we see it. Okay? Another thing, gym mirror pics. Nobody cares. I'm sorry. Pictures without your shirt. Nobody cares. You think you're sexy? Good. Good for you. I don't care about you without your shirt on. I want to know who you are. I don't care that you in the gym going muscle madness. If you got a good heart and a dad bod, that's fine with me. That's fine with most women. Okay? So, put on a nice shirt. Sit in the sunlight. Take a picture at a park. And just show yourself as a decent, normal human being. That's all that's needed. Okay? For your bio. Ciao. Let me just this one I thought was hilarious, y'all. I thought this one was funny and I appreciated it. But obviously nobody's gonna click on this person, right? But it does kind of mirror a lot of the profiles I see. Where is that screenshot? I thought it was hilarious. Sometimes I just go back and look at it just so just so I can have a good laugh. Oh geez, where did I put it? Gosh. Okay, here's one. This is a real one. This is not the other one I was talking about. But here's one. He says, "Well, ladies, I'm done. I tried talking to some of you. I even read your profiles and tried to relate. But I'm not what you want, even if we have things in common. But life has dealt a different hand to be alone. Well, I hope you ladies find what you're looking for a good man that will be what you need and want. No, I don't have a six-pack. No, I'm not 6 foot tall, but I have a great job that pays me well, my own place and 2 cars and great dogs. I'm happy with my life. Just wanted someone to share it with." Does that sound like something women want to click on? But you're looking for long-term relationship and something casual. Pick a lane, yo. All right? We can see the anger in the profile. Unless a woman is looking for somebody that she thinks will beat her up, she don't want it. And if she wants some beating up, it ain't that kind, okay? So, what you want is a simple formula. Who am I? Right? Hello, my name is so and so. I enjoy whatever things you like to do and what you're looking for. What makes you connect with a person? All right. So, example. Hello, my name is so-and-so. I am grounded, funny, and into sci-fi and hiking. Looking for someone kind, curious, and emotionally open. Now, if you want someone kind, curious, and emotionally open, you have to be those things. Okay? So, here's the example again. I am grounded, funny, and into sci-fi and hiking. I am looking for someone kind, curious, and emotionally open. What to avoid? Complaints, angry tones, don't message me unless, and overly sexual content. For most women, it's a turnoff, okay? And here are things that women respond to. You have to show effort, but be real. If these things are in you, these are things you have to develop. Most women can sense things, right? We respond to clarity, kindness, and authenticity. You have to decide if you really want that, though, because a lot of people, men and women, they want drama. They don't want kindness. They don't want clarity. They don't want authenticity. They want drama. And so you have to really, really know what you want. Developing a likable, empathetic, approachable personality. Personality matters. Personality gets you everything. And I know this, okay? You have to have soft skills that women respond to. All right? Genuine listening, meaning you're curious. You really want to know her. Emotional presence. That means you don't suppress your emotions. You can feel, name, and understand your emotions and regulate yourself accordingly so that when she's sharing emotion with you, it doesn't shut you down. You don't run from it. You're not trying to, hoo-hoo, ha-ha, rah-ha, her out of her emotions or talk her out of it or tell her she thinks too much or whatever. Genuine kindness. You're not being kind just to get something from her. You're kind because you're a kind person. You're just being nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice, being kind. Nice gets you ran over. Kind, meaning you care about the human and you want them to have a good human experience in the moment. Hey, Inanika. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, you want this human to have a good human experience in the moment. You will do something kind for them. Humor. Okay. Even if you're not, a real jokester, at least if she makes a joke, having a decent sense of humor to be able to laugh at it. Okay. Thank you, Moxie. Consistency. You know why women respond to consistency? Because it shows a level of security that you can provide. A lot of men think when women say we want security, that it means monetary. No, it means that we want to know that you're a dependable, consistent being that we can rely on in times of trouble or catastrophe or crisis. So if you can just be consistent in the beginning with just little things like texting or calling or keeping your word, right? Having integrity, then to us that signals security. Integrity. Right? You're not lying to get what you want. You're not out cheating. You're not doing whatever. I'm not saying women don't do these things, but this isn't about women today. Okay? How to be more approachable. Okay. Open body language. Shoulders back, chest out, but you're not peacocking. You're just simply confident. You sway, right? You stride. You're just open. You're open to life. You're open to light, you're open to love, you're open to beauty, you're open to all the things that a woman is, okay? Warm eye contact. You smile with your eyes, right? You're looking at her like, yeah, I see you. I see you, not just her outer appearance, but you're actively listening to her so that you're seeing. She's showing you who she is by what she's saying and how she's engaging with you, right? Again, the relaxed shoulders, you're not staring, you're looking, right? So you're not, if she's over here and you just over here ogling, no, not cute. Look a little bit, look away. Yeah, she cute, you know what I mean? And if you decide you want to approach, then you go confidently. But give her space. Don't walk all up in her, you know what I mean? Give her her 3 feet. And say, hello, my name is so-and-so. I find you attractive. I would love to get to know what's inside. See if it matches the outside. Can I get your number? Can we talk sometime? Can I get your IG? Or would you like to go over here and sit and have a cup of coffee with me if you have time? If you're in a place where they offer coffee. Yeah, look, I'm giving y'all game, right? And this how I know this stuff works. Well, you have to find a woman who's, I don't know. A lot of times people think I'm flirting when I'm just being nice. My personality is just this type. But just the other week, I went over to the Kroger to find me some honey for my tea. And I'm going all through Kroger because, they changed some stuff around. I happen to be standing there once I finally find the honey, and a guy is coming down the aisle, right? And another woman came by. I said hello to her and smiled. Another woman came by, hello and smiled. He's coming down the aisle. I say hello to him and smile. Then another woman behind him, hello and smile. I'm standing off on this side so they can all go by with their buggies. When he's coming by, he's looking this way. So I'm thinking that he's looking for something above my head because he's going really slow and he's looking this way. And I'm like, oh, I'm in your way. He's like, no, I was looking at your hair. Now I had my hair out at the time, and as you can see, it's gray and stuff. And I was like, oh, he was like, it is so pretty, as are you, right? And I was like, oh, okay, thank you very much. And so I was like, he was like, but I am going to get this right here. So I moved out of this way. I was like, okay, excuse me. So we talk about something else. I don't even remember what it was, but it was intriguing. It was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, yes, he knows how to talk, right? So, because for me, it's the intellect more than anything. That wasn't to say that I didn't think he was decent looking, but it was just that he was nice enough to present himself in a way that he didn't appear dangerous or entitled to my attention and all that kind of stuff. Just because he told me I was pretty, he didn't seem like someone who looked like, just because he said that to me, now he deserves my attention. Okay. That's how it was. So, we're conversating, and then so it's like, okay, he looked like somebody I could give some attention to. Let me flirt a little bit. So I'm like, can you help me pick out a honey? Do you use any of these kind? By 6 o'clock that night, we were on a date. Had a wonderful time. He was in town on business. So I'm not the kind of person that I enter into things expecting something long term. This is a stranger. I may never see them again in my life. They could leave tonight and anything could happen, right? But I knew he was in town. So all it is about masculine and feminine connection. That's what it was about for him. That's what it was about for me. Okay. And so we go on a date, have a great time. Obviously, I don't pull out my wallet because he's a gentleman. He showed that from the beginning. So, we have a terrific time, like a best date I've been on in a long time. Well, I know that. I can't say that. I've been on a lot of good dates this year, but it was a great date. Okay. And he goes back to his hotel. I go back to my house, and I think we've texted a couple of times, but it hasn't been anything major. Right. So sometimes you don't have to be looking for anything long-term or specific. Just exchange the energy, the masculine and feminine. It boosts your confidence. It gives you those endorphins. You're getting out. You're having fun. You're connecting with someone, right? And you just breathe. All right. So be open. Listen to her cues. He understood when I'm asking him for the honey. I'm 54 years old. Do I really need help picking out honey? Come on now. He knew, okay, she wants my attention and she wants, me to engage with her in a masculine way by helping her with something. Okay. And so from there, we walked around the Kroger together. I showed him my favorite bread, and then we exchanged numbers, and then we were on a date. Okay. But you have to, another thing is respect a woman's pace and boundaries. Just because I was willing to go on a date with him that evening doesn't mean every woman will want to do that. There are times I get asked out. It may be a week before we even ever go on a date. It really just depends on my circumstances and his availability as well. Okay. So sometimes you need to allow people to slow roll things. Now, if you come in and you're saying things like, I just want to see where this goes. I ain't looking for nothing serious. blah, blah, blah. You need to make sure the woman is on the same page, because a lot of times men will choose lover girls who they know their heart is into something long term. And they'll come in, they have great hearts, they're real warm, they're real open. And they'll come in and they'll say, I don't want anything serious, knowing that women have a degree of hope and desire when it comes to masculinity. Okay. And so, not all women. Um, and so, what'll happen is, at some point, he'll start to string her along. She'll start to get resentful, and then he has zero access at some point because she's ready to move on to someone who does want what she wants, and now he's lost access to a wonderful woman. When you can just choose women who don't want anything long term, just like you. Okay. So you just have to respect pace and boundaries. Here's a big one: empathy. Understanding without defensiveness. Okay? Empathy equals understanding without defensiveness. Instead of saying, she rejected me, she's shallow, try, she wasn't feeling it. That's okay. Compatibility matters on both sides. She wasn't feeling it. That's cool. We're just not compatible. Or sometimes you may be compatible for certain things and not compatible for others. Sometimes women and men can be just friends. Look, you can go to work with women, right? Y'all can be co-workers and nothing ever happens. Why can't you be friends and nothing ever happens? It's a mindset thing. So here is another area of the social dynamics that we have to look into, and that's self-respect, boundaries, once again, and misplaced lust. Self-respect, boundaries, and misplaced lust. So self-respect, right? This is something I want all men who care about this topic to really understand. You have a right to self-respect. You have a right to standards, boundaries, and emotional safety. That's what self-respect is. Standards, boundaries, and emotional safety. So you have to understand in that regard, love versus lust. Lust is fueled by adrenaline, fast fantasy, and projection. Adrenaline, oh, she makes me hot, she makes my loins swell, la la la. Fantasy, oh, she fine, she, the homie's gonna love her, man. She gonna be in there cooking with her little maid outfit on. Or projection, I like her, so she better like me, kind of stuff, right? No. Then there's love that requires patience, teamwork, shared values, and emotional intimacy. So don't let lust trick you into begging for attention from someone who isn't treating you well, gentlemen. Unless you just like drama. You can't say you want peace and choose a woman who's giving you drama. You can't say you want respect and choose a woman who disrespects you. You can't say you have standards and choose a woman who doesn't match your standards. This is not self-respect. Okay? When it comes to boundaries, you can benefit from a man by saying things like, I need reciprocity. I won't tolerate disrespect. I deserve mutual interest, right? This isn't about gender. This is about being human. I need reciprocity. I won't tolerate disrespect. I deserve mutual interest. This is a human thing. It's not a man thing or a woman thing. Reciprocity, mutual interest, and respect. Right? So, you have to be willing to give what you want to receive. And you have to know that you will get what you give. All right. Now, I'm not one of those people who believes that you attract what you are and all this kind of stuff, right? Even though I do dabble, well, not dabble, I do study consciousness, metaphysics, esoterical knowledge, and all that, law of attraction. I study those things. However, I do understand that sometimes people are attracted to your energy, and so they will come into your life not because you are that vibration, but because you're the opposite vibration. You're polar. So you're on the same you're on the same polarity, right? You just may be vibrating at a different rate, but you're the polar opposite. So they may be attracted to that. Okay? So if you're an empathetic person, this is why you may attract a narcissist. You don't attract a narcissist because you're a narcissist most of the time. Sometimes narcissists do attract others, okay? So let's move on and look at physical health and appearance, because I'm well over my hour now, but I want to make sure I get to everything in this lesson, okay? So physical health and appearance matters, fellas. It does matter. And I know, just looking at a lot of the dating profiles and men that I talk to and you know, all of this, men don't struggle with appearance the same way women do, right? Men will take a photo of themselves and they look downright gross and they'll post it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Women will take 1,000 photos with the same outfit, hair, whatever, trying to find the best one, okay? However, I'm just going to handle this in a gentle and supportive way. I'm not shaming anyone, right? But basic grooming matters. Haircut, beard maintenance, clean nails, good breath, and fitted clothes, like clothes that actually fit you and are nice looking on you, okay? Your style of clothing, that's going to be a preference per woman, right? But if your clothes are clean and they fit you well, your breath is clean, you take good care of your teeth, right? Your nails are clean, like you're just a clean person, right? Your beard is maintained, your hair is maintained, okay? And because physical health not only not only is more attractive to women, your physical appearance, it also is a confidence booster, right? So here are some things like regular movement, walking. You don't have to be a gym bro. You really don't. If you have a dog, just walking your dog is healthy enough, right? Regular movement, like you're not just sitting around on the couch and, you know, you just move. Like, I don't have the perfect body, you know, I'm a juicy girl, but I don't have trouble attracting men because I do care about my health. I do the best I can in taking care of myself in the time that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so hydration, drinking your water, sleeping good, reducing your junk food, and consistent hygiene, right? You don't have to be a model. Most women want clean, healthy-ish, meaning that you do care about your health. You may not be a perfect eater in a you know, all this, but you're well kept, you're confident, and you're warm, right? You're kind, all right? So here's another big one, right? I know I'm over my time, but I'm going to take my time with this. Listening to women. Women tell you what they want. You can listen to a dude, or you can listen to a woman, the woman, your woman. You can listen to other people who aren't this particular woman that's in front of you. You can listen to a podcast. You can listen to whatever. You listen to podcasts, other men, dating gurus, right? But most women tell you directly through their behavior, their tone, or their words what needs work for them. All women are individuals. So never say women want this, right? Sure, there are underlying patterns to most men and women, but we are all individuals. So don't ask yourself, what do women want? Ask yourself, what does this woman want? The one that I want, what does she want? And if she doesn't want me, move the hell on. Okay? It's not about you at that moment. Okay? Ask questions. What helps you feel comfortable? Ask her this. What helps you feel comfortable? If she cares, she's going to ask you the same thing, and you have to speak up. Don't mirror her. Don't say what you think she wants to hear or what you heard her say. Tap in. What makes you feel comfortable? All right? Do you like direct communication or a slow pace? Meaning, at what pace does she want this connection to go? How much communication does she need? She may be like me. I don't need no dude texting me all day every day, sun up to sundown. I don't need phone calls all day every day. I don't need it. I don't want it. I got shit to do. Okay? But there are women who like when you text good morning and, hey, did you eat lunch? And, hey, what you doing this evening? How's your evening going? And they want the little check-ins throughout the day. And if you're not a guy who can do that, move on. Don't put yourself under pressure to perform, because that's what it is. And ask this question: what's meaningful for you in dating? Right? What's meaningful for you? Like, what is it that you're really seeking from our connection? Okay? Another thing that's really going to destroy you is seeking validation from other men. I'm going to take a sip on that. Male peers give general strategy, right? But your partner gives you personal reality, what's real, right? That again goes back to knowing the woman, not all women, okay? That's the key. So, you don't want men in your life who are going to shame you or call you lame or tell you that going to therapy is an issue, including a cuddle therapist, right? Or mocking you for being vulnerable or shaming you for wanting comfort, like the young man who hired the cuddle therapist, right? You don't want men who imply that you don't need emotional support, or saying that every woman you meet you should be able to smash or want to smash or desire to smash. That's very low on the scale of masculinity, right? So if you are around men who shame you for just wanting to be human, a decent person, that's probably going to be a problem for you. Okay? So, it is not women who is making men lonely. Typically, it's because of the circle that they live in or their lack of creating a supportive circle. Okay? So, it's inner sabotage. Okay? So you're not open, you're not seeking help, you're not able to be vulnerable, You won't admit that you need affection, and you hide your needs due to humiliation. Okay. And it's really sad. But women can't be responsible for your emotional needs. If you need something emotional, right? It is not your partner's responsibility to meet those emotional needs. Just like if she needs something emotional, it is not your responsibility to meet those. It is your hope. It is the hope that if you want to partner with someone, right? Then don't be alone with him. Don't be alone with somebody if you don't feel safe with them. And if you have to be around them, then you need to set clear boundaries and start keeping a weapon around you and letting them know you will use it. And if they threaten you at that point, then you get the authorities involved. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. However, being supportive does not mean that you take on your partner's emotional identity or responsibility for those emotions. They need to name their emotions. They need to understand their emotions, and they need to understand what they need to help them soothe and regulate those emotions. But most of that is going to come from within, right? If you say something disrespectful, if you say something rude, if you say something heartless, then you're responsible for what you said for sure. You do need to apologize, and you do need to correct the behavior. Don't just keep doing it. Correct the behavior, right? However, how they respond is completely up to them. So they don't get to throw plates, right? Things like that. So emotional regulation, unless you want drama, some people want it, but you have to know how to be responsible for your own emotions and regulate them. And you have to choose a woman who can do the same, right? Women can't heal you. Women aren't emotional first aid kits, right? She's not your therapist. She's not your mother. She's not your healer. She's not your emotional openness coach. She's not your softness teacher. She's not your safe space. She's not your accountability system. You have to take personal accountability. She's not your constant comfort supply. Go get you a blanket. You want her to be all these things, but you also want her to be your romantic partner. It's a turnoff. So if you're not getting laid, it's because you're not able to regulate things. Okay? Just having the understanding of being a decent human, you don't have to worry about what does it mean to be a good woman or a good man in a partnership. There's nothing wrong with seeking help, like cuddle therapy, like bioenergetics therapy, like Reiki healing, like going to, the doctor, whatever you need. There's nothing wrong with getting external help from professionals. But your partner is not your professional fixer. They're your partner. Okay? So it's not their job to fix or heal you, especially if you have trauma. Okay? So let me go back to the guy who sought the emotional therapy. This is what he was really doing when he sought the cuddle therapist, okay? His actions were grounded, brave, and emotionally intelligent. He sought regulated, non-sexual touch. He admitted he needed comfort and support. He invested in his emotional well-being. He stepped outside the stereotype of numb masculinity. He modeled self-awareness instead of self-neglect. He respected a new kind of masculinity, one that values healing over hiding. And the men who mocked him were not showing strength. They were revealing their own wounds. Okay? Policing each other's need for vulnerability, self-care, self-regulation, and shaming people for those things, it is one of the leading things that's leading this loneliness epidemic. Okay? Women did not create this. Women cannot fix it. Women are not responsible for healing it. Okay? So, let's end with this. Loneliness is heavy. Shame is heavy. But it doesn't have to be permanent. You are not broken. You are not doomed. You are not unlovable. You can build connection. You can build confidence. And you can build companionship. Not by becoming someone else, but by becoming healthier, physically, mentally, emotionally, a more grounded version of yourself. And if money matters to you and how you feel about yourself, figure out ways to go get more. Okay? That is the end of the lesson. If you want a PDF copy of this, you can leave me a super chat in any amount that that you're able to handle, and with your email address in that super chat, and I will send you a PDF copy of this. All right. Are there any questions? Any questions based on this lesson? Not just in general, and if it's antagonizing or you want to try to push my buttons, please move on. This is a mature space, okay? But if you have any questions or comments on this lesson, I'll be happy to take it at this time. I'll give you a few moments to do that. Let me know who's still here. All right? Let me know who's still here. I really enjoyed studying this. Like, this was very eye-opening, and it's so needed. I'm not sure how many, people tuned in over time, or how many people will find this over time. But if I feel like if it just helps just one person, because the incel, red pill, whatever space is so huge, and so many people are getting lost in the sauce of this topic, right? It's not being approached with true compassion for these men, okay? And there are real underlying issues, but there are solutions as well, okay? All right, anyone? Okay. All right, so if you come along later, you can drop your segment. You said, what advice would you give to women who have had to deal with the verbal abuse? Don't deal with it. So I spoke about this earlier. We are in a climate where women have more resources, especially in the Western culture. You don't need to be focusing on a relationship as a woman if you don't have resources to care for yourself, right? If you are in a culture or climate where you are required to have some sort of male supervision when it comes to your resources, then that's a different story. I can't speak on that because I've never lived that experience. However, if you are a woman who is in a climate or culture or state or city or country where you can tap into personal resources and maintain yourself, that's the first thing you need to do. That will give you confidence, hopefully, where you'll recognize that you don't have to deal with things that don't suit you. The second thing you need to do is, when you have those resources, while you're building them, you need to make sure that you are building self-love, self-confidence, and hope for a future, a vision for your life. When you have these things, self-love, self-confidence, and a vision for your life, then again, you will not choose not only male partners, but friends or family members, or you won't have people in your life who drain you of your natural resources, right? So the first thing I was talking about was outside resources, job, money, connections in the community, yada, yada. your natural resources, your intuition, your energy, your life force, your chi, whatever you want to call it, right? Your instincts, your drive, your hope, your love. You won't have people around who drain you of these things. This is not just men. This is not just women. This is men as well. But you asked about women, so this is the question I'm answering. Okay. When you have these things in place, you won't feel the need to deal with abuse, right? Because you will naturally work through your trauma. You will figure out ways to understand what led you to think you had to deal with that. And you will get to a place where you understand that you don't. You will also get to a place where healthy connections, only healthy connections matter to you. If it's not healthy, you don't want it because you're not missing it. You're not missing an unhealthy connection. And an unhealthy connection is all you want. You'll chill until you get one, or you'll be happy without it because you have a healthy connection to yourself. Okay. If you've had to deal with verbal abuse and you've left that situation, then you start loving on yourself verbally. That's what affirmations are for. They replace the verbal abuse that you've endured from the outside or from the inside. So you stop abusing yourself internally and you start affirming yourself. Okay? Does that answer your question, Sekna? Anyone else have any questions or comments on the topic before I sign off? I went way over my time, but it was worth it. Again, if anyone comes along later, if you don't want to leave a super chat, you can you go to the ways to support in the description box and leave something there, and then let me know in the comments what your email address, and I will send you a PDF. You can donate any amount, but I'm not going to send out the PDF for free. I just gave all the information for free. But I had to do the study, so you will have to pay for the outline, okay? the written outline, all right? Any other questions, comments before I sign off? I will give another 30 seconds, and then I will say goodbye. All right, I really enjoyed this lesson. I know it was very, very important. Again, even if it just helped one person. Okay, thank you, Sekma. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's very special, the things that I get to teach. Where are we in December here? We are not. So we have 3 more school lunches for the year, and then school lunch will be over. We will be in permanent recess, all right? So we won't have any more school lunch lives after this month. The last one will be on the 30th. So we have 3 more. If you have any topic ideas you want to discuss, go ahead and leave them in a comment, and I will see if I can make them a part of my study, or if it's something I'm interested in. I'm not going to teach anything I'm not interested in, okay? But if there's a topic of study that interests me and I have the capacity to study that, learn it for myself, and then teach it over the next 3 weeks, then go ahead and leave a comment on the video. Not here in the chat, but on the video, okay? All right, so we are at the end. Thank you to everyone who joined and stayed. Thank you to everyone who will come later and stay to the end. I really appreciate it. Share this with someone who you know can use it. Share it on your social media platforms. And until next time, I am Jua, and you have been fed. Bye-bye.